So it's available to be attended by Zoom, as much as we are technically available for that tonight, and in person. The public's welcome to join either way. So the first thing I'm gonna do tonight, without further ado, is the um, attendance. So I'm just gonna call out your name, just first names for starts, and see if you're here. Kate?
Here?
I'm here. Alan?
Here.
Kai?
Here.
Kevin?
Here.
Mark?
Here.
Charlie?
Here.
Okay, everybody's here. We have a full board. Next item is the minutes of our last meeting, believe it or not, August 11th, 2025. So everybody got a copy of those. Now, the parties who could vote on these are myself, Kevin, Charlie, Kai, and Kate. As everybody noticed, and Alan pointed out, the date is wrong on the first page. We need to change it to 2025 as opposed to 2024. Does anybody have any comments on the remainder of the language on the first page of the minutes?
Oh.
Nothing. All right, let's go to the second page. Anything from anybody on the second page of the minutes?
No.
Hearing nothing, moving along. We'll go to the third page. Anything from anybody?
Yeah, first sentence ended with kind of a blank. It says residential nature of her home on Oak Street. She doesn't believe anyone would even know she was doing this other than blank.
All right, I don't.
And I don't remember who other
I
than
don't.
was.
She doesn't believe anyone would even know she was doing this other than, could it be the party? Well, I guess we'd have to.
So that's something we could just follow up on.
Yeah, we could send that back. Yes,
That was in page 3.
page 3.
Top of page 3, very
Uh,
first sentence.
First complete sentence is incomplete. The parties at the end are not identified. I mean, it's likely the
I'm
people
assuming
that,
other than neighbors, I'm assuming.
well, there were
Yeah,
one
probably.
or two letters that came in with regard to the application, so
Yeah.
it's gotta be one of them. But can we go back to the drafter of the minutes? See what you got? Okay, great. Anything else on the third page?
Nope.
Okay, on the fourth page, Alan pointed out two things to everybody. The first was in the, I guess it's the third technically paragraph where Galen's name is spelled wrong. So we'll correct that. And that's the third paragraph there. And then in the next paragraph, Alan also pointed out that it should read John Eagleson and Susan Graham as opposed to Grant, Graham. So anything else on this, the fourth page, besides those two names?
Nope.
Hearing nothing, we move along. Anything on the fifth page, I want to tweak it a little bit differently than you did, Alan. So if we start from the bottom and move up, the third to last sentence or paragraph is Mr. Tremblay seconded the motion. Vote was unanimous in favor. And now it reads, all 5 members of the board voted to approve this application. So to make sure that since the board had a greater membership than 5 at the time, if we just add the word present after board, that would take care of it, I think. Easy enough. Everybody good with that?
Yes.
Great, anything on the last page? No, so with, so we have those edits that we'd like to see made, and they'll have to go back for the blank that we don't know the answer of. So other than those edits, or do we approve, I'd like to see a motion to approve the minutes as we've just edited.
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous, so we've approved the minutes as we've edited them. Thank you very much. And now we come to your application. So this is the application of Dan Smith for a home occupation As noted on the agenda, the applicant is requesting a home occupation to use their home at 331 Goose Rocks Road for a catering business. Parenthetical, assessors tax map 25, block 4, lot 1A, in the free enterprise zone, and parenthetical. So, we have one member of the audience who's got a lot to say right now. Other than that, the way we'll do this is we'll have the applicant come up and address the board first, and then we'll take it from there. So Dan, the floor?
I'm curious, Paul.
Yeah.
So are there 5 voters? I'm an alternate. How are we gonna establish who's
No, I
voting?
think,
All 7?
I think all 7 have voted.
Oh, I thought I was, okay.
I don't think,
Great. Just wanted to make sure.
Shailen, is everybody, I think everybody's a
That's
full
good.
member of the board.
I just wanted to make sure before we start.
That's
so
a
there's
good
no-
question. Hold
I believe that we have up to 7 members.
Okay.
on. Was it 7 and 2 alternates?
I thought it was 5 and 2, but I could be wrong. I just wanted to make sure before we got going here.
Hold on a minute, Dan, for 1 second.
Mm-hmm. In the bylaws right here, maybe?
I don't know if it's in this bylaws, but
Yeah, it's 7 members.
I got, so you are a full-blooded member, my friend. Nice try. Okay, now, go ahead, Dan.
My name's Stan Smith. I live, excuse me, I live with my wife and our son at 331 Goose Rocks Road. We moved up a couple of years ago. I had a restaurant in Western Mass for 33 years. Just looking to do some catering, some prepping out of our kitchen, but doing dinner parties off premise with a couple other ideas of possibly cooking classes, prepared meals for pickup or delivery, and the potential of making ice cream, small batch ice cream. I did take a picture of our ice cream maker. I have specs on it too, in case you have any questions on it. It does say that it can produce up to 6 quarts an hour, but I've used this machine for, not the same machine, but the same brand for 30 years, and it's pretty much impossible to even make 6 quarts per hour. You can freeze it in like 20 minutes or so, but by the time you take the ice cream out, do another batch, or if it changed flavor, you have to completely wash it, sanitize it, let it air dry. You might be able to get 2 batches per hour, not 3, so it's very small scale. And with our toddler, I don't plan on working endless hours, so he demands a lot of our attention already. So I don't know if you have any questions on any of the different aspects or not, or?
Well, we will.
Yeah.
But did you, anything else that you wanted to throw our way before we,
No, I have already applied, I mean, I already got I already had a ServSafe certificate for food. I took my main one after, because my mass doesn't work here in the state. I've done a couple of dinner parties on Goose Rocks Road already, but I was just looking to be able to prep out of our house. We kind of set it up that way, and not looking to have a storefront just because of the number of hours it would take to do that. I want to spend more time with my family, because I had a restaurant for 30 years and I'm not looking to, work 14 hours a day. So, other than that, I don't know if you, I have, we set up the kitchen. We did a renovation to our place, and our kitchen is already kind of set up to like hold cooking classes. We have an island that we can get like 8 to 10 people around it, maybe possibly 12. That kind of focuses on the cooking area. We have outdoor storage area for refrigeration and cooling and freezer if we need that. I'm not exactly sure how that will play out. I haven't done it yet. So I'm not sure if you have any other questions, or let me explain more.
well, if you want, you could just, I'd have you stay here while the board goes through what it wants to ask
Yeah.
you. So does anybody have a question to begin with?
Well, the meals and the cooking class was not mentioned in your application, just the parking for the class. How often do you expect to have classes?
Maybe 2 or 3 to 4 times a year, not very often.
But doesn't that have to be in his application?
I thought it was.
It
Yeah.
is, it's
Yeah,
in the
it's a-
application
It's
packet.
in-
Well, I
Number
guess I
5.
didn't get that
Okay.
piece of it.
I thought I had broken down to 4 separate ideas for the home occupation. One prepping food for catering, one for prepared meals, the ice cream, and then also the teaching classes. I thought I broke it down in 4, but I can,
My fault, I didn't get that
Yeah, you
part
did.
of it.
okay.
So just for the record, where is that part with, that is discussing the
Yeah,
cooking
this,
classes,
okay.
Dan?
So, let me just pull this up.
Oh, where is it in the application?
Yeah.
It was right up,
Like that, and then.
right up front, Paul. Because it's all electronic, I didn't print out that whole big batch, but, I wrote down what the things were. It said, prepare food that will be served off premises.
Yeah, it's here.
To
Oh,
make small batch ice cream.
It was in the letter, you're right.
Yeah.
It was in the attached letter.
Okay.
That's where it was, Kai.
Yeah.
All right, sorry about that.
Right.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that was noted. Good? Anybody else?
Are we jumping to
Yeah, I think.
any and all items?
I think so. I don't think we have any presentation from the town. Do you have anything you want to add? Or shall we proceed with that?
We have some outstanding comments, but I think that the board should speak first.
Okay. Go
Okay.
ahead.
One question I did have, if you were doing the classes, and I think it would require in total maybe 15 to 16 parking
Mhm.
places. I wanted to hear more about the ability to park that many vehicles.
Okay.
And, Galen, I don't know, was there a site review where you guys looked at the parking, to ensure that it met the requirements of our parking ordinance? That's really my question.
Yeah, the conditional use application doesn't follow Article 10, which is under the planning board for site plan review for traffic circulation on the premise.
Yeah,
So those regulations wouldn't normally apply to this review. But we did see where they indicated spots, and I think there is a concern over, how emergency access is going to be on the site in the event that there is that many vehicles, there. So that's, again, more details we would like to see on the application. Certainly, I think, circulation is going to be difficult and challenging, just with the way the layout of the parking is at present.
okay. And really, my question wasn't around emergency egress or anything, I didn't even think about that, but just whether or not the area that they had for parking, meets the requirements of, residential parking, is really was my question.
So we measured out the driveway based on what we have access to on GIS maps, which is why we'd love to see a diagram. If you measure it out differently, we'd like to see that.
Yep.
We just used our residential parking standards, which is a 10 by 20 parking space.
Yeah.
And when we counted it out, we got about 11 to 12 spaces maximum with no circulation space, which is why. So we've asked the applicant for a diagram showing parking so we can compare our numbers with that 15 to 16 parking spaces. But that's how we got our calculation.
So,
Okay.
is the requirement that it needs to be on a pervious, ground, or is parking on grass eliminated, or is it all gonna be on gravel? What's the reg on that?
The residential parking standards do require some kind of hard parking
They do.
surface. Again, this is where it's a little bit of a gray area with the home occupation. There's not a specific parking materials requirement, so we've been relying on the residential parking standards for that requirement. So we only measured what we could see as the gravel area of the driveway.
Okay,
I have a quick question. I'm asking a very basic question here. You mentioned that you reside there with your toddler, beautiful toddler.
My wife and toddler,
Wife
yes.
and toddler. But there are 4 people on the deed and 4 people, so you were the only residents there?
So,
This is going back to
it's
parking and.
it's zoned for 2 family,
Right,
and so there's two residences, and my in-laws live on one side, and they're both connected by a breezeway. So they
Right,
have one
I
house.
watched the evolution of your house, because I
Yeah.
live at Goose Rocks and I drove.
Yeah,
past
so
it the
originally
other
it
day,
was
so it fascinates
a
me.
ranch and, I forget the person's name, but renovated the garage into like a
Yeah,
single person apartment. And then we added on to that single person apartment, so we have our living space.
I guess I was just, that was, again, feeding into, I think, questions about the parking, because if we're looking at the space that might have to accommodate 10 to 12 or whatever,
Mhm.
is beyond that, I think at one point I saw even more than that mentioned as possible class participants.
Mhm.
But we also have to assume parking for the residents and a possible 1 or 2 employees, I've forgotten where it came, I
One.
think one, we
One.
came down to possibly one. So that's
then
why I
that-
was asking, how
Yeah,
many
I
people
wasn't-
actually, because they would be using the same parking
Yeah.
area,
Yeah,
right?
correct. And I was unaware and I didn't look into like what the requirements per car. I did a surprise birthday party for my wife and we had 25 people there for a party. And everybody parked off the street. So they're using the lawn, pulling into, like kind of perpendicular to the driveway or whatever, onto the lawn. So I was kind of going off of that, which is probably not legal. So,
Because you have a lot of green space around you.
Right.
But I understand from looking at the diagram that a lot of that green space is actually owned by your abutters.
that's correct. That is
Right.
Black Rock Farm, which is
Okay.
Helena, I'm forgetting
Yeah.
her last name, Hodge, I think.
Yeah, because I just, if we were looking at that as possible parking, I was saying, well, what part is actually,
Well,
Just for my visual, it's kind of-
we weren't going to even plan on using that
Okay.
area anyway. I was just thinking about our own lawn area. But I did not look into what requirements, it was a 10 by 20 per vehicle. I didn't know that, so that's why I kind of put down 15 cars just from the standpoint that I threw a surprise birthday party for my wife. But I also can shrink the class down to 10 or whatever it takes to make sure we have enough room.
So again, when we're giving Dan some direction, because I'd rather want to see a sketch, and I'm guessing that the rest of the board probably wants to see a sketch of the proposed parking.
Yeah.
that was,
I mean, we could talk about that when we
Right.
close it for consultation, but he's required to make sure that that sketch just shows hard pack area, not grassed area.
Correct.
Correct.
So that's gonna be one of your guiding
Okay,
lights there.
okay.
And I'm pretty sure the board's gonna wanna see a sketch
Okay,
to that effect, and the measure of the parking spaces would need to be the size that you've been told on
Okay.
that. I have one question on parking in addition to that. So it's a two-family home, and I had a couple of questions based off of that, but with regard to parking, when I think when you were looking at, you were considering 2 for residential.
So it'd actually be 2 per unit, so we're looking at 4 for residential.
Okay,
How-
that's,
For-
Well, let me
per
ask
dwelling unit.
clarification. Dan, how many bedrooms are each unit?
there's a total of 5, sorry.
But
Between
per-
the two, there's 2 on my in-laws and 3 for us.
Okay, so the one that has 2, we changed the parking standard that only requires
Need
1.
and the one
And
that
then the one
has
with 3
two-
bedrooms would need 2.
2, so we
Yep,
need 3
you need 3.
residential.
Correct.
And then you anticipated, I think in your materials or your reply, you anticipated up to 1 employee.
Yeah,
So we're gonna need a space for the employee.
Okay.
So there's 4 there.
Okay.
And then, any kind of,
so
class, you would need to accommodate 1 per,
car,
I don't know what you call them. students.
automobile, vehicle, I guess it's a
Yeah,
vehicle.
So anyway, you're gonna need to keep that in mind.
Okay,
Um,
either that or require a few people to carpool, but,
Well, we would only, when you, if you do get approval, you would need it for a certain amount of parking
Okay.
spaces. That would be your cap.
okay, all right.
On the division of the property between the 2 units, you were providing numbers on, well, actually, maybe I jumped ahead. Any more on parking before we close and talk about it amongst ourselves? Any questions with regard to parking for the applicant?
No, so what I heard from all of that, there's gonna be 3 spaces required for the
residential.
for the 2 residential spaces, 1 for an additional home occupation employee, so that's 4. And then that would say your available class size that you can offer is gonna be based on,
Remaining parking.
you know, the evaluation of the parking and how many actual parking spaces
Yeah.
that you have available there.
Okay.
And we're kind of working in and out, but there is no site plan review for this kind of application, and so is circulation or emergency access, we don't do that, do we, as the zoning board?
Zoning board, so the planning board normally does have that type of purview.
Right, but with regard to this application and this set of circumstances, what are you suggesting, Gail?
I would think that you would consider, you know, holistically, how is this going to impact, you know, the surrounding area? That does seem to be in your purview, and certainly the zoning board does have the ability to place conditions if you are concerned about certain aspects and how it's going to impact on the neighboring community. The one question I had, and I'm sure, you know, if there was abutters, if there's questions about this, is that road in particular does have some sight distance issues.
It does.
So backing out onto that street might be a potential
Yeah.
traffic
Yeah.
hazard to think about.
So, well, we'll talk about this while you're here, and
Okay.
then we'll let you know what our thoughts are, but you're likely gonna have to give us something more
Okay.
to address that, and then we'll be able to review that, and then we'll be able to see if that's satisfactory, or if we have questions, further
Okay.
questions as a
Okay.
result of that. So we'll talk, we'll wrap up parking afterwards, when we close the public hearing. So I had a question with regard to you gave us a breakdown to talk about the limitation on the 20% of the residents being used to support this use. So you've given us a number, and is that, I can't remember what it was, it was 2,000 and some odd. Do you remember it off the cuff?
2,000, I put down 2,300.
So is that for what part of the multifamily home?
Just the unit 1.
Just the unit one, so
Yeah.
that's the unit that we're talking about?
Yes.
And that's better looked at as the right-hand side,
Correct.
okay. And you don't have any kind of, I didn't see any submitted, but you don't have any kind of breakdown, you gave us a verbal, or you wrote it out, a breakdown, but you don't have a sketch to that effect to show us.
I can get that probably pretty handily. I have, might be able to even forward it tonight. I have, like the house design probably in my computer or whatever.
Okay,
So I could, you know, get that to you. if
all
you-
right, well, we'll figure out if we're gonna ask for
Yeah.
that, I just wanted to know if that
Yeah.
was gonna be accessible for you or.
Yeah.
Other que-
Yeah, quick question on on that is the other unit a self-contained unit that it has its own kitchen, or does it share?
Yes,
the-
it has their own
Okay.
kitchen.
So no impact on
Correct.
their usage of this?
Right.
Unless you invite them in.
Yeah, that's true. We do have them over for dinner.
So, so the only commonality other than the real estate,
Yeah,
as far as the structure goes, the only commonality is the breezeway, or whatever you call the connection of the two buildings.
yeah,
Is that correct?
yeah.
So, since, if you do need to get us more materials before we can approve it, well, one that I would like to see, which I think would be very simple for you to get, is that, that I'd like to see something in writing that everybody who's a titled owner of the property agrees to go
Okay.
forward with this applicant. They don't have to be co-applicants.
Okay.
I just want to know that everybody is on
Agreed.
board. And really, that's more just so we have a piece of paper for
Right.
our records.
Okay.
So that we turn that stone over.
Okay.
Other questions for the applicant? Alan, nothing?
Well, I don't think it's the purview of the board, zoning board of appeals, but I see that you had reached out to your mortgagor
Yeah.
in Pittsfield. The insurance, I think, has, because you're gonna have a cooking class in the house, and you're gonna be using cooking and fire, things like that,
Mhm.
is there an impact on your insurance?
Um,
Because you're holding cooking classes.
I would, so we have the homeowner's insurance. What I was planning on doing was talking to the same company that I've used for years for my restaurant.
Yeah.
And they're out of Boston or right around there anyway. To have insurance for the business in case, anybody happens to get hurt employed by me. So I would make sure that would be covered under there. Cooking classes, the catering.
Two separate things.
Okay,
One is the insurance for employees.
okay. And the other one for,
That's generally covered under workman's compensation.
Yeah.
But then there's insurance, liability insurance that you need to have because you're bringing these dozen people or so in to do cooking in your.
okay. I can double check with that and make sure I get that information to you. I do have a umbrella package with that also, but I'll make sure that's all included.
It's not a requirement by the board, I don't
Yeah,
know.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Right.
That doesn't really fall under
Yeah.
this, right?
Yeah.
But-
But what is, actually the only thing I didn't find in the application materials was, under conditional uses, H, is it a fire danger? Will there be a fire danger increase?
I would, we have,
I assume not, just.
yeah, I
because
would
you can't
assume not. We
vote,
have,
but-
what I installed was it's not open flame, it's an induction flat top.
Oh.
So it's a lot less fire hazard there in the first place. If you spill something on it, it immediately shuts off. So it's,
Charlie?
No, I mean, part of it is, there's been a lot of discussion on the cooking class,
okay.
so I'd say, if you table it, those questions have to be answered.
Mm-hmm.
But until those get answered, what about the other aspects of the business of making ice cream and other things you're doing? What's the major portion of your business that you're using your home for?
Dinner parties catered
Dinner
up,
parties,
yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm really shooting for.
And are the attendees at the dinner parties different?
Is that me? Sorry.
Are the attendees at the dinner party, is that number different than the cooking class?
What I've done so far, the answer to that is yes. I'm really looking to do anywhere from 15 to up to 30 people off premise at their house. I'm not looking to do large scale weddings or whatever, but in that area, that's what I'm really wanting to do.
Okay, but you're doing it off-site, so you're
Yes, I'd
preparing
be prepping the food and then refrigerating it and taking it off-site to
Okay.
finish.
So again, from my standpoint, it's like, since there's so many questions that need to be addressed on the cooking classes that you can't address here, I suggest we focus on the other aspects
Okay.
of the business, just so we can kind of understand other elements of it that we can get questions in tonight. That's just my suggestion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, one
You got
question I
more?
had on the.
Is this,
Oh, sorry. I mean, we've said the cooking classes, I think it's mostly from the standpoint of, mostly from the standpoint of the parking issues, I guess, and maybe this is inappropriate, but it seems to me if we're looking at something continuing to remain a residential look, so to speak, no signage and things like that, I think the frequency of the cooking classes, to me, is a bit of an issue too, and you said maybe 3 or 4 times a year.
Yeah.
If it were something where you had decided or maybe felt comfortable with limitations on that, because if it were something that was gonna happen a lot more frequently and you were constantly gonna be having people coming to your house for classes, and, a lot of a parking space full, et cetera, I think that would tend to perhaps change the look or the feel of this residence as being residential,
Right.
rather than this frequently used as a business type thing.
I'm
I don't
open, I'm very open to having a limitation on that. If you want to put restrictions on that, I'm very, excuse me,
No,
I'm
I
fine
just
with
think
that.
That's just the one other
No, it's
aspect
actually, yeah.
aside from the parking
I
that was.
completely
Came
understand.
to my mind too.
Mhm.
But
How will you, the ice cream that you want to produce
Mhm.
with the machine that you have, and we don't require free samples for the.
I don't
I
know
just
about
wanted to
that.
be clear, get that on the record. But how is that just something that when you would do a dinner party, you would deliver ice cream with it? Or I don't understand the market aspect of the ice cream.
I haven't fully thought that out, but I was really thinking like by next summer, if I could apply for the Kennebunk Farmers Market and sell it on Saturdays there. Possibly to the point, like if my name gets out there, that people can pick up a little bit at the restaurant or at the house. Sorry, I don't have a restaurant anymore. But still, or I could deliver, some a little bit along with prepared meals. But again, it would be so small scale. It's a little more of a hobby of mine that I enjoy doing. So
But
Yeah.
I asked because if it was a sale on the premises, that's a kind of a different ball of wax.
Right.
Because if people were coming for that purpose,
Okay.
then that increases your traffic flow and it's kind of a different ballpark. So
Okay.
is that a definite part of your plan, or is that something you could live without, or tell me more on that?
I could live without having it picked up. I would like to be able to increase. I mean, I'd like to have it part of my whole package of possibly like farmers market, selling it off premise. But I would be open to having it not be able to be picked up.
Okay, great. Mark, anything else? Oh, Mark? Yeah.
Did I understand you were also going to make meals to go, that people could stop by and pick up like one meal for tonight, kind of thing?
I think once again, it has to be, I did mention that, yes, but I think it has to be more of a delivery thing. I was thinking about doing it possibly for a few months of the year, 1 day a week, but I think it has to be something that can be delivered first.
Right, I think that would create a real traffic problem.
Yeah, after listening
When I
to,
look at the drive-through lanes and a lot of the places around here,
yeah.
right.
And I mean, so I think it would has to be delivered. I
Right.
probably wasn't very clear on all the aspects I
Okay,
had for the
okay.
ideas.
I know we don't have a sketch, but do we know how many parking spaces there are?
I can tell you that the house sits approximately 91 feet from the road. I don't know if that's the 10-foot setback. I'm not positive on that.
So like roughly like 10, do you have?
So
now?
I would imagine there's at least 10. I mean, I would imagine you can do, if you do it and like come in a parallel parking, you could do 5 on each side of the strip and then 3 in front.
So you're saying like 10 could park right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that would, you're gonna deduct from the 10.
Right, the 4.
Right. More questions for the applicant, or want to close the public hearing and have some discussion among ourselves and hear from, actually, maybe before we close, do you want to give us some thoughts on what you had reviewed on the applicant that we haven't covered yet?
I believe that you've covered all of our outstanding comments. We mostly had questions about parking. I did have a question about the square footage and whether it was both units or one unit. You've answered that. That's all that I had for comments. I don't know if you had anything outstanding, Elon.
Yeah, I think that was most of our outstanding comments here. I'm trying to look at your responses as well, because the applicant did provide us with some responses. I just think getting clarification, and maybe this is to help the board out. If you look at the definition of what home occupation is in the land use ordinance,
Yes.
we just need to be guided by that, and certainly the applicant has to be guided by that, that the occupation or profession which is customarily conducted within a residential structure or the property in which it's clearly incidental to the compatible use of the residential use and the property and the surrounding residential uses. So is this clearly incidental in nature? Certainly, I think putting parameters on that, on the frequency and, traffic on site, would help mitigate a lot of those concerns, but that's something just for the board to consider in your review.
Are you reading from the 7.6, or are you at definition?
The definition, under Article 2.
Because I know that's a little different.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what I'm gonna do is close the public hearing at this time. You can have a seat, Dan. and
Okay.
We're gonna discuss, and if we may have more questions for you, so don't go away. Well, I'd like to proceed by coming up with, it seems like we need more information. But do any of you think that we, I guess there's two ways to proceed. We could either request for additional information and we postpone a decision, we continue the matter until our next meeting or a subsequent meeting that would accommodate him. Or we, I guess one route is to approve it with conditions, though I'm,
Yes.
but I guess we could talk about that. It depends on what we want to see, how much we want to see.
Well, like, why don't we go through a list of what it is folks think they wanna see?
All right.
And then we can have that discussion about approval based on conditions or, you know, having them come back. I think from what I heard, it sounds like, you know, more specifics on the parking is probably one of the most, or the item that, you know, we need the most information on, I would say. And that has an impact on, you know, like your ability to, what size that class would be if you were to hold the class, right?
Yeah, and I guess maybe continuing on the point I was making earlier, you know, there's several aspects to your business. You know, we heard a lot about the cooking classes, making ice cream, dinner delivery type of thing, so that's where, and this is where I think could help and understand from you, what do you think in terms of the size of your business, where are you gonna generate most of your revenue from? Is it from the cooking classes or is it from the other activities? And the reason I'm asking that question is because if the bulk of your revenues are to come from things like dinner parties, things where you're not having a parking issue,
Right.
then it'd be like, I'd be open to having the question come up and saying a provisional approval, except for the cooking classes, because that's what seems to be generating the concern with the parking. So, but I'd like to understand from your standpoint, what that business breakdown is with what you're planning to do in the house.
I would say 75% of it would be dinner parties off premise.
Gotta come to the microphone.
Yep, you have to go on the
Oh,
microphone.
sorry, yeah.
Sorry, that's my fault.
Sorry, Dan, sorry.
Yeah, just for the ZBA members too, because we have Lynn Capitan who does our minutes for us, just make
Yeah.
sure you speak into your microphone.
Thank you.
Good point.
So to answer the question, what percentage would be mostly, the largest percentage of the business would be off-premise dinner parties. I see that being, you know, the majority, like 75%. That's what I really want to focus on. I put those other aspects in there so that I, you know, make sure that everybody knew what I might be doing in the future. But the dinner parties is what my number one thing is. Yeah.
Dan, Alan here. Have you received any comments or reached out to abutters? And have they made comments?
No one's made any comments to me. I know Ashley and, I mean, I know some of the butters pretty fairly well. No one spoke to me yet. I have not directly spoke to them. I thought maybe they might be here tonight, so.
They're aware of your plans?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Well, what we've seen in the past is that once you have a hearing, then all of a sudden there's questions from the butters.
Okay.
Okay, so,
I can reach out to the ones I know. I actually know 4 different abutters very well. I mean, some of them I have not met yet, but I can reach.
Hey, Galen, isn't there a requirement to notify the
They all
abutters up
receive
front?
legal notice for
Yes.
this.
Yeah, so they've
Yeah,
all,
so
they've all been
put on
notified.
notice.
They have been notified, and we also posted on the newspaper and the website as well.
Yeah, so everybody who was shown on that
They've been
around him
notified.
have been notified.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I thought. I mean, no one's reached back out to me.
You know, one thing I didn't ask about, but I think you opined a little bit on, sorry, can you talk a little bit about, if dinner parties is gonna be the primary function, then talk about what deliveries you anticipate for product, you know, your raw materials. Are you going out to get it, or are you having it brought to site?
My hope was to have it brought to site. There's companies I used in the past that go to deliver to Earth, so they already travel right by my house, delivering to Earth, which is a 5-minute walk down the road from us. I could give you the names of the companies if you want. But there's probably two that already deliver there that I'd probably be getting something maybe once a week from them. For certain dinner parties, I would like to use local farms like Gerard Farm, possibly the Farmers Market. But there's also things that I would be using that, it's kind of prohibitive to buy at the grocery store. Like if I wanted to use saffron or whatever.
Yeah.
It needed to be purchased wholesale to make it viable.
So I'm just trying to get a handle on what kind of traffic would be generated by deliveries that you anticipate.
I mean, I see 2 trucks stopping maybe once a week at the most. And the way I foresee this is like if they were on their way to Earth, which I hopefully they would have a delivery the same day to make it viable for them to stop at me, because I obviously dealt with companies for a long time. I know what they are, they want to add somebody that's not out of the way, first of all. I hopefully would think that they could pull into our driveway parallel to Goose Rocks Road, deliver, and then pull out, and, not be able to, not pull in, not back out. That's my idea. I don't know if that's feasible.
Parallel to the road?
Yeah, so our driveway's at the beginning of our driveway's fairly wide, so you could pull in off Goose Rocks Road, into our driveway, parallel to the road, and then pull right back onto the road so that they wouldn't be backing into the driveway and not backing out onto Goose Rocks Road. I don't know if that's legal, feasible or not, but that's my idea. I've thought about it a little bit. I don't know.
Looking for legality over there.
Yeah.
I think seeing it on a site plan layout will help staff
help
give
a lot, yeah.
insight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And truck size possibly, or
Pardon?
a truck size too? You think you might need that?
For the fire truck?
No, like a delivery truck, the size
Oh,
of the truck.
yes,
Okay.
yeah. that
How
would
long
help.
does the delivery take typically for that?
I would say 5 to 10 minutes.
So
Not-
how is that different than UPS, FedEx, anybody that's delivering things to private residences?
Yeah, I think the difference here is if he's having a class during one of those deliveries.
Yeah,
That's the question with the parking and circulation, that aspect of it.
I would imagine the class would probably be towards the weekend, and most of the deliveries happen like Tuesday and Thursday. You can have it delivered Tuesday or Thursday. But
Yeah.
That's
So you're familiar with these suppliers. Are we talking about vans, or are they box trucks, like a 12 or 16-foot box truck?
Probably a 20-foot box truck.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay.
But you don't see an issue scheduling deliveries at a time that's different than when you would have a class. You could
No.
schedule class, if you're gonna have classes, at a time that was distinctly not when deliveries were being.
Yeah, I would imagine that the deliveries, even if it's the same day, the deliveries would be like at least 6 hours in advance. Most of the deliveries, those companies I'd be using go by in the morning. I wouldn't, excuse me, I do not foresee having a cooking class until like 5, 6 o'clock at night.
Okay,
So,
okay, you can sit again. but
Okay.
You'll probably hop up again, Dan, I'm pretty confident of that. So we talked about parking and whether, all of these items, I mean, maybe we took off all the items, but I want more information on parking. I want, I don't know if I might want some kind of condition on delivery so that they're not, no condition on deliveries, that's going too far.
Well,
It's just like regular,
You know,
it's like UPS
you know,
or
my view,
FedEx or
my
something
view
like
is
that.
I could order up, whatever I want on FedEx and they could be delivering to me every day. There's
Anytime, that's
Nothing
right.
nothing preventing me from doing that at my house.
Okay, I kinda like that. Everybody kind of on that page? No issues on delivery?
So you want more information on parking in next meeting or provision?
Well, let's just go through and see what we need to get overall.
I was thinking if we went down 7.6, just 7 items really, some really quick, some, because we have to we have to approve all of them
We
anyway.
do, yes.
before This is approved,
All right, so
each and every one of them.
let's take a walk through that and see if that can guide us for the time being.
And then maybe attach some conditions as we see fit.
Well, and determine if we wanna see more
Right.
beforehand, or if we wanna make it subject to. The one thing is that if we make it subject to, materials, and make it as a condition of approval. So we want to see some conforming aspect of parking, some kind of plan, something in that fashion. Who's reviewing that? I think that it defaults back to us, so that we're gonna need to pick it up at another time. I don't think we can assign that to somebody else to sign off on. What are your thoughts on that, Charlie?
Well, and again, this is why I asked what the breakdown of the business is, because if the problematic part of this was related to parking, and that parking's related only to the cooking classes, which I heard was only 3 to 4 per year, it'd be, you know what? If you postpone that until all of these questions and just make the approval about everything other than the cooking classes, then I think we can go through these things a lot easier, because parking circulation isn't the issue. It's the food delivery, it's the ice cream that you're making. That for me is a much more straightforward one that we have the bandwidth, I think, here to manage and ask questions on. The things that still are outstanding questions are related to how many cars are gonna be there, how long are they gonna be there, is there gonna be a circulation issue, and we can't answer those right now because we don't have the plan.
Yeah,
So that's why I just say, maybe we table that portion of it and say, let's just look at this right now as approval for this business, except for the cooking classes. That way you take all the parking things and the concerns out of it right from the get-go. I don't know if that makes sense to folks?
Hey, Paul, the only other thing I would add to that is, Galen, can you and your team, if we put conditions that are associated with parking, for instance, is that something that we could have a conditional approval, that extends even to the classes, with you doing the site, your team doing the site review and saying, yes, it meets the requirements that was, that we set forth here tonight. I mean, if you guys can do that, then we could even include a portion of the,
Yeah,
the class.
we are comfortable with that. Normally, when it comes to planning board with site plan reviews,
Yeah.
because you are the reviewing authority, we would not like the administrative staff to be the ones to be the arbitrators of that. Right now, the zoning ordinance is clear that you are all the decision makers for whatever the layout is that's before you. So I know that's a conversation we're going to have later tonight about, if this fits in the purview of ZBA or maybe another authority for review. But we would not feel comfortable making a
Can-
determination on the
Okay,
parking.
can I frame it differently?
Yep.
So instead of giving approval of it, it could be, the conditional approval is how many parking spaces, once you get the information that you need in terms of the square footage and what the measurements are, and then what you can say is, based on all of this information, you are allowed X number of spots. And that becomes something, we're not gonna do that, the town will do that part, right?
Right, but when you're making your approval here, you're basing a findings of fact off of what the application was submitted to you. And that application, while I don't believe there's gonna be abutters here that may contest this, findings of fact,
Right.
they could. And when a judge is going to look at that, they're going to look at your findings of fact and what submission materials was given to you. And since that evidence wasn't given to you, I think you've run afoul of this being remitted back to you all for another review from the courts.
Which is why I keep going back to, just cleave this part off until we get this information, because otherwise,
I mean, you do have another meeting on the 22nd, so, for a different ZBA application. So, I mean, it's not unheard of to continue an application for 2 weeks, and that gives him enough time to come before the board again and just finalize it, but it's totally whatever the applicant would like to do. He can certainly modify it to say, I only want to do this aspect of the business, and I'll come back later if I want to do the classes. It's his decision on what he would like to do.
So, for clarity, if the applicant decided to jettison the classes at this time, is the parking that you've already sketched out to some degree adequate for our purposes today?
Yeah, I mean, his parking lot is wide enough for the residences and the one employee. No one's questioning that he can fit 4 spaces
So
there.
that's a non-issue as long
Correct.
as, okay,
Yep.
that's, all right, that's a good answer.
But
That's a
does
good
it,
answer.
does it become an issue at all if any part of the business, which I know you're sort of developing this, but we talked at some point about possibly having people come and pick up dinners and/or come and pick up small batch ice cream.
I think we already talked that part was not gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen, okay, just wanted,
Whether it has to
yes,
be rewritten in the plan or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's, I like that. So, before we.
Paul, I have one more question.
Yes,
So Galen, you said you sketched out some of this and you know that 4 spaces
Mhm.
are covered. Do you know how many spaces beyond that are covered?
really.
I can't help with that because right now the configuration, I don't know how you can do it right now with the layout. That's my honest feedback right
Okay.
now.
Right?
Why don't we ask Dan to come back with a proposal and measured out parking spaces? If you want 10 additional spaces in addition to the 4 that you have, which would cover you for cooking classes, and then we set a maximum number of cooking classes per year. Something like that.
That's an option, that's an option. I just want to be clear that if there's no class,
Correct.
and so we have nobody coming on site except for deliveries,
Right.
and then we have perhaps 1 employee, then we need a total of just there, we need 5 spaces, 1 employee for residential, or is it just
It's
3
three residential, one
employee?
employee. Yep.
So with the physical layout of the property that you've been able to observe so far, do you think that we as a board need more information for an approval if the approval is based on the only need for 4 spaces on the site?
I think as long as he provides clarification that there is going to be no traffic generated to the site, and it is only intended to produce and then to send out to
Yeah.
wherever it is. I think that is clearly incidental, and that's, we have enough parking on site that
Okay.
takes care of our
So
concerns.
we have no concerns at that time?
No.
Okay, great. Other issues that you guys want to talk about? So we have 2, well, let's take the walk through these issues here, the things that we have to tick off, before we settle on whether or not we can approve now, or we need to, based on limitations that the applicant agrees to, or if we need to come back. So let's take a walk through these. So we're looking at section 247.6, which is home occupation. It begins with A.
7.6.
Any home
No
occupation,
page numbers though.
Yeah, I just want to figure out.
are you looking for it now?
Yep,
Okay, so we're at
we're
1.
getting close.
Well, I'm gonna read them as we go through. And it begins with A, any home occupation or profession which is accessory to and compatible with the residential use may be permitted as a conditional use by the zoning board of appeals, provided that, 1, it is customarily carried on in a dwelling unit or in a structure customarily accessory to a dwelling unit. So on that, if we're talking about really cooking, making ice cream, et cetera, and then bringing it out to deliver, that seems to me to be acceptable use and compatible.
Yep.
You all generally agree on that? We're not voting, we're just discussing at this time, yes?
I agree.
Number 2, it is carried on primarily by a member or members of the family residing in the dwelling unit. The operative word there is primarily, and it sounds like that's been proposed.
Right.
Anybody have a issue with that?
Nope.
Number 3, it does not material injure the character or usefulness of the dwelling unit or accessory structure for normal residential purposes.
I haven't heard any evidence about that.
I haven't heard anything that would negatively rise to that level. Anybody?
Right. No,
Okay.
basically cooking.
All right, so it looks like on A, as long as we restrict this down to what we're possibly talking about that solves our parking issue, then we'd fit all A, 1, 2, and 3. So now we move to B, all home, and I wish I brought some water tonight. All home occupation shall conform to the following conditions. 1, the home occupation shall be carried on wholly within the dwelling or accessory structure. I interpret that to mean that it's not an activity on the exterior of the structure. I don't think that implies deliveries or not, that's otherwise. But does everybody generally agree with that definition?
Yes.
And is everybody comfortable with that?
Yes.
Number two,
We gave one maybe 10 years ago, thinking about this, and it's a brick oven, it's on Wilds District Road,
Oh, yeah.
outside,
Juliana's, Juliana.
not-
Still there, it's
Yeah.
still there.
Still there.
It's
still
not,
operating.
it's not within, but we
It's
let it go,
attached,
I guess.
yeah.
Oh,
so we won't use that as our guiding
No.
light at this time. Okay, number two, the home occupation shall be carried on primarily by a member or members of the family residing in the dwelling unit. Not more than two persons other than family members residing in the dwelling unit shall be employed on the premises in connection with the home occupation. I think that Dan's been very clear about that, to one employee. Everybody comfortable here?
Yes.
Number three, there shall be no exterior display, no exterior signs other than those permitted in section 246.12E, no exterior storage of materials, and no other exterior indication of the home occupation or variation from the residential character of the principal building. I just want to pause on this, maybe I'm reading this wrong. Does this say no exterior storage of materials and no other exterior indication of the home occupation or variation of the residential character of the principal building? I don't think that prohibits exterior storage of materials as long as they do not, they don't strike from the residential character of the
Right.
principal building.
Like if it's a pile of firewood, it's probably okay.
Well, I think that Dan did mention that he may be storing some stuff in an exterior structure.
So the room I was talking about is, it's a barn board entrance. It's basically like an outdoor closet, but it's built into the house.
Oh, it's attached to the house.
It's
Okay,
attached,
thank
to
you.
it's,
That's-
sorry, it's attached to the house. It's just not refrigerated, or it's not heated or cooled, so.
Fine,
Okay.
thank you. That, I'm more than satisfied on that.
Yep.
Is everybody else comfortable there?
Yes.
Well, the only other exterior indication of the home occupation, again, goes back to if there's considerable parking,
Correct, right.
and that's an issue we'll talk about.
That's right.
Other than that, what relates to the cooking and catering, delivering out, I think clearly fits within that.
Okay. 4, objectionable conditions such as noise, vibration, smoke, dust, electrical disturbance, odors, heat, glare, or activity at unreasonable hours shall not be permitted. I think that he
See
has
that.
not scratched the surface of any of those.
Right.
Everybody generally agree?
Yep.
Yes.
5, traffic generated by such home occupation shall not increase the volume of traffic so as to create traffic hazard or disturb the residential character of the immediate neighborhood. So, it seems to me that what we're talking about is the possibility of if the applicant removes the classes, then does anybody find there is a traffic hazard or a disturbance of the residential character?
No.
No, if it's just,
With that struck from the application?
right,
Yes, okay?
yes, I think with that struck or very limited, so that it doesn't, you know, as you said, maybe a couple of times a year.
Yeah.
A couple of times a year, people have big parties and have a lot of parking and
Right.
something at their house.
Right,
Something
right,
that
yeah.
appears to be occasional, rather than something that is repetitive, a repetitive part of the business that would, in fact, I think, change the residential character.
Right, but
The
even if-
cooking itself, I think, is fine. If-
Right, but even if, with the classes, even if it was reduced to a limited amount of time, if it's
Yeah.
reduced to a limited, we're still going to need.
Right, we still need more
We'll
information.
need more information.
If we're talking limitations on size and frequency,
We'll need to see sketch plans,
Yeah,
et cetera.
absolutely.
Okay, so we'll broach that with Dan when we're done walking through these. 6, in addition to the off-street parking provided to meet the normal requirements of the dwelling, Adequate off-street parking shall be provided for the vehicles of each employee and the vehicles of the maximum number of users of home occupation the home occupation may attract during peak operating hours. Parking for more than one vehicle used primarily for the home occupation shall require explicit approval of the zoning
There we
board of
go.
appeals. So we can't pawn off the approval of a plan to these guys, to staff. In my opinion.
I'm sorry, I don't understand what you said.
What I'm saying is that this specifically puts, if there's parking that needs to be reviewed for approval, we can't say, show us this many spaces, but it can be approved by Nadia or Galen. It's gotta come back to us. We have to be the ones that review that. We can't abdicate that.
Right. Yeah,
Yes, agreed.
Number 7, everybody good there?
Yep.
Yep,
Number 7, the home occupation may utilize (A) not more than 20% of the dwelling unit floor area, provided that for the purposes of this calculation, unfinished basement and attic spaces are not included. So, now I'll pause here for a minute. So we don't have a sketch with regard to the interior. And it was an indication that he could generate one if needed. But somewhere in his materials,
So 2,300 square feet of living space.
thank you, that's right, there's
And
23,
The home occupation would equate to 327 square feet.
Yep.
With an additional 11 to 12 square feet of additional freezer refrigeration, making the total usage of approximately 339 square feet, or 15%.
so that was number 7
That was number seven.
on the comments supplied
Right.
by the applicant with regard to the memorandum issued by Nadia and Galen. So as a matter of discussion, is everybody good with that, or does anybody need to sing anything more than their representation?
I guess the only thing I just wanted to confirm is that 2,300 square feet of living space, because you said specifically it doesn't include attic space or unfinished basement,
The
the
calculation. right.
calculation, so as long as the 2,300 square feet is of actual living space, not inclusive of those, then I don't see any
You know, I thought that
because that should be on the GIS map.
I looked up, and on the CAI, it listed the space as 3,684.
That's probably for the two.
But that's the 2 units,
Yeah, that
I
goes-
believe.
But it's back to our question, and I think that having confirmation in writing that is, we asked you and you said, and I understand, but I think we would need that confirmation in writing somewhere in the next, that it's that one unit.
Our assessing database does agree with the applicant's conclusion that there's
Does,
at least
okay.
2,300 square feet of
Does,
space
right?
Okay.
in both
Alright.
units.
Great.
Yeah, because I read, Kate, I read in one of the other, I find this aspect of the site to be quite difficult, actually, to find this stuff. But I saw one place with the CAI that had the gross living for the 2 units. And then there was an earlier one, kind of like what I used to call the property card.
Yeah,
But that had square footage of 1,100 and change, so I'm pretty confident that that was the structure prior to being improved. So if we deduct one from the other, we get the 2,300 and change. So I'm good with it.
Same here.
Everybody else generally?
I'm good.
You all down at that end, pretty
Yeah.
good with it too?
Good.
Oh, sorry, I should have kept reading there. Unfinished attic and basement spaces, so that's,
They can be
they
used.
can be
they
utilized.
can be used and they don't go into the calculation.
Right.
And then one accessory structure, the floor area utilized in the accessory structure shall not exceed the floor area of the dwelling unit as calculated under subsection B7A above. But we don't have an accessory structure being used because he clarified that and that was an attached part of the principal structure.
Do we
Be-
want to do the same thing with conditional uses, since it is a conditional use? I mean, I'm okay if we don't, I'm just throwing it out there. That would be 9.2
9.2.
H, 9.2 H. It's about fire danger and stuff like that.
Well, let's have a look. I think we really just need to go with the list that's
Okay.
here, but
That's fine.
it doesn't hurt to
That's
take a look at it,
That's fine.
Is everybody with us on this? So we were gonna slide to,
Oh,
249, 249, what?
240 dash 9.2,
Sub
letter H.
H.
These are all stricken in the copy that we have. These have been-
I believe you're looking at the bylaws,
Yeah, these are the bylaws, right?
Yeah,
which are not,
I'm looking at the ordinance.
which are not the same as powers and duties.
Yeah,
okay.
Well,
it's
the-
under powers and duties.
This is under
Yes.
powers and duties, and it's
Yeah.
sub H, and it's conditional uses, and it talks about what we should be considering, even though we have a specific set for the hallmark, but
There's
these
some-
are,
There's some overlap, that's why I figured.
yeah, I think, meets the definition and specific requirements set forth in the chapter. B is, will not have significant detrimental effect or use of peaceful enjoyment of the abutting property. I think that, and won't have noise, vibrations, fumes, odors. I think that's overlap.
Yeah.
Will not have significant adverse effect on adjacent or nearby property values. I think that's overlap, but the
Right.
word value is not mentioned
Okay,
in the
yeah.
hallmark. Will not result in significant hazards to pedestrians or vehicular traffic or significant traffic congestion. When we deal with parking, I think that would deal with that. Will not result in significant fire danger. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I don't know what
He
kind
was
of cook
cooking on
Dan
the same
is, but
types
I'm
of things
assuming
Yeah.
he's not gonna generate. Though I do like to go to,
I don't know about fumes. I bet you got
What's
some
that?
really great fumes.
this great restaurant.
But nothing that you wouldn't
I like
have
to
if you were
watch
using
the
it at home.
Fire is flaming all the time.
So
I can't remember the name.
Flood-
Street and
Street
Company,
company.
Street and
Yeah,
Company,
street
right?
company is
Don't
also-
do a
that's
street and
affected
company
flood
in there.
hazards.
Last one is,
When it's
won't
doing-
significant flood hazard or flood damage
Oh,
drainage
yeah.
from. So I don't think that I'm not worried about any of these, and I don't think we technically need to apply these on the
Okay,
hallmark.
okay.
Right,
Does everybody agree
Yeah,
with that?
agree.
yes.
Okay. So then let's, before we vote, I did agree with Charlie that if the applicant is willing to remove from that portion of what he's looking for, the classes, that eliminates our issue with parking. It also would eliminate any related issue like circulation and or emergency vehicle access, if we were to consider those things.
Yep.
Because we would be stripping it down to the need for a grand total of 4 spaces, which we know from earlier calculations by the town, the property significantly exceeds.
Right.
The only other thing is, I think, eliminate, maybe it's not strictly there, the question about people coming there to pick up meals or
I
ice
think we-
cream.
I think we eliminate that as.
Yeah.
I know,
as
I'm
a
saying if
condition.
we, yeah, make sure that
Yes.
that is also a
we-
Yes,
condition
yeah,
that we
yeah.
eliminate. Yeah.
Are we consistent from home occupation to home occupation on putting limits on folks for number of times folks come and go?
Well, yeah, I think so, because if.
Do you know what my question is? I mean, we have had other approvals for
I do,
home
but But
occupations,
Kate's talking
and
about,
do we put limitations on those
but Kate's
folks?
talking about people coming to the property to purchase.
Right.
And we have not dealt with a coming to the
Well,
property to
I remember a
purchase.
recent one,
The cookie, lady baking cookies, because that also came up there.
But that's delivery, she was delivering.
well, but we
She
had,
was also talking about people potentially could come and pick them up.
And she
but
was
again,
gonna come back to us
Eh,
for that.
and we had a home occupation, I think, for a art studio, where they were selling art out of the,
Oh, right.
But they had the,
and they go there to purchase the art.
but they had accommodation there for that, I think, the parking. But I hear you.
You know what I'm saying?
I do.
I'm
I
just
do
saying, from a
remember that. I think-
consistency standpoint, I want to make sure that,
That's also on
you know, our,
Bushwhack's
our
Road, actually.
our stipulations don't change from home occupation to home occupation.
Well, why don't you be our guide on that when we get to that
I can't quite,
aspect
I
of
can't
the-
quite remember all the details
I
of that
can't-
other one.
I actually can't, I
honestly.
remember the approval, because that's also on
I do
Bushwhack's Road.
remember that, yeah.
Right,
So I think from a factual perspective, we're not opposed for him to have on-site parking and visits. It's, we don't have the evidence
We don't have the data.
that this is something that can work for the site.
Okay.
So if certainly if he wants to revise his application and submit that additional detail, I mean, you can certainly
Right.
consider the evidence, but right now we don't have any evidence supplied to you.
All right, could you get up for a minute, Dan? I got a question for you. So you hear all of our discussions, obviously.
Yep.
So, and the application is cast in stone as you've provided it. So, the general sense may be that the board would be willing to go forward if the issues that the board had are eliminated. And the issue that generates the greatest concern is parking, and the parking becomes a concern because of the classes. And if there were no classes at this point in time, then that would address the parking issue.
Yes.
That doesn't preclude you from coming back to the board to try to add that in when you made a presentation about the parking.
Okay.
Yeah, and the choice is yours there.
Okay.
And then similarly with people, initially it sounded like maybe people would come to pick up dinners, maybe people would come to buy ice cream. But then we have to look at it with a slightly different lens on. So if those were more delivery, not more, but if they were delivery as opposed to that, then it seems like we wouldn't need additional information this evening.
Okay.
So, would you want to would you like to go forward the way you've presented it? In which case, the board's likely going to ask you for additional information before we could make an approval.
Okay.
Or would you like to limit it, and we'll reflect the limitation in our decision, would you like to limit it and modify your application by removing the classes at this point in time, and removing any on-site sale or pickup, so that it was more delivery on your part?
Okay.
And if you agreed to those things, then I think that address all of the board's issues. And then there's nothing precluding you from coming back to ask for those things.
Okay.
With more information that you can tell we need.
Okay. Can I ask not to interrupt
Yeah,
you?
no, right ahead.
Would that be the same process as before, or just going back to you, or just going through the town GovWell?
I think
to-
you'd be stuck coming back to us.
But just altering my, say it's section 4 of the cooking classes, I don't remember where.
We'd let you do that right here. That's
Yeah,
what you're
but
asking.
what I was asking was, would it just take another process of altering it, or going back and starting over on just that section?
It would be a fresh application.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you so much, that's what I was asking
Yeah.
for. Okay.
So
I'm-
it's up to you how you want us to proceed with regard to the issues that we have. So I'll ask you one at a time.
Okay,
Do you want to modify your application at this point in time to delete the request that you have classes of 10 to 12 individuals, or any classes at all at the property?
I am willing to delete that in my plan, to hold any classes at this present time.
Okay. And second question, are you willing to eliminate the possibility of picking up of food, dinners and ice cream, and instead just relying on delivery of those?
Yes, I am. I'm willing to alter the plan of having anything picked up at the house, whether it's prepared meals or ice cream, go strictly delivery.
Okay. So will you do that at this time?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Thank you. You can sit down. All right, everybody, how we doing?
Good.
All right. Everybody good over here?
I'm good.
Everybody good over there?
All good.
Okay. Great. So, for our decision, did we lose Galen?
He's over
Oh.
there.
I'm typing.
Oh, very good, thank you.
I have,
Nothing makes me happier than to have you typing. Big thing. So can you insert something that where the applicant has that application has been modified?
So I'm going to read a few conditions. So this is at the end of the findings of fact. So these are conditions that are site-specific for this use.
Okay, we still haven't done our vote, but yeah.
Yes, I want to clarify this, that way you
Thank you.
can make any changes. The one thing that I will say in the staff's memo that we did have, and I forgot to bring up, was that we would require, because he is preparing food on the premise, that he does obtain a town vitulers license with the clerk and any other state approvals, because I did not hear if he has currently his, from Department of Agriculture, any food licenses with them. So that's one of the conditions. The
Yeah.
other condition is no on-site sales or visits to the site by customers and patrons without submitting a new application and evidence of sufficient parking and traffic control plan.
Yeah,
Supply a letter of consent from co-owners of 331 Goose Rocks Road that no opposition to the proposed use before a business opening permit and other permits may be obtained by the town code enforcement officer.
yeah,
And then
Can you say-
all
what-
all
can you say
sales and products will be sold off the premise.
I didn't understand the one before that.
the one before that.
The one before
Yeah.
that was because of the consent, because it's a co-op
I asked for
ownership.
Consent of the
I-
co-op.
We asked for a letter from
Okay,
the
got that one.
From the
the
co-owners.
co-owners that they're not
Oh,
opposed.
okay.
Yeah.
And then,
Is there any other things I'm
yeah,
forgetting?
yeah,
What was the second one?
there'll be no classes.
Second one was no on-site sales or visits
Okay,
to the
thanks.
site by customers or patrons.
Now, does the first one you
Okay, so
mentioned,
you, fold that in there.
Sorry.
does the first one you mentioned, the state license, et cetera, for
Yes.
cooking? I read something that you recommended that it be renewed by the town each year.
Yes,
Is
it
that
has to be
same
renewed
thing?
every year. Yep. So I put in here, it says, the applicant shall be required to obtain and renew on an annual basis a town vitulers license and all state food license approvals to continue the use.
Along the lines of what you were saying, I don't know if we've done that to all the other ones, have we? For
They,
instance, Juliana's, I don't.
I will say, housekeeping wise, I can't speak for the past, but the town clerk was
Okay.
not aware of home occupations that produce food. So that was a learning experience for
Sure,
us.
yeah.
So it is something
You
that
don't-
is
you don't
required by
repeat
the
same
town.
mistake.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's one thing I wanna say, I don't wanna repeat similar mistakes. I understand when you talk about uneven enforcement, but that doesn't mean that we can't be more correct going forward.
Oh, I agree with that, but we can be correct and be consistent at the same time.
That would be the goal. Lofty as it may be.
Was there any other conditions I forgot?
I don't
Did you
think
have a
so.
fourth
That,
one?
Which
What-
one?
Did you have a fourth bullet point?
The fourth point was all sales and products will not be sold, sales and products will be sold off the premise.
How does that differ from no on-site sales or visit by patrons? On
We
two?
covered that because in case they visit the site or they conduct trade on the site, that's the way. I was trying to get both.
Okay, I thought they were sort of, it's okay, whatever. It sounds repetitive to me. or
Yes.
Redundant, but I'm
Yep.
fine.
Yep. I'm
That's
covering
Law
it,
is always redundant.
yes.
that's the law.
Thank you.
I'm trying to cover different scenarios.
Yeah. I'm, all right, let me ask, look down the board. You've all heard those conditions. Does anybody have any issues with any of those conditions?
No.
Kevin?
Nope.
Alan? Charlie?
Nope.
Mark?
No.
Me?
Good.
Guy? No. Very good. Okay, so let us then go about going back to the conditions that we reviewed in entirety. I just want to bring them up, give me half a sec. We won't go each one, but we'll do them by group. That was 247.6.
Yep.
Two 47.6. All right, so we reviewed all of these, folks. And what I want to do is, I'm going to do this, we're going to do this in two parts. I'm going to propose we do it in two parts. So we are under 247.6. We have A, 1, 2, 3, and we have B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's do A first. Can I have a motion with regard to this application as it, as it's been amended, with regard to A, 1, 2, and 3?
I move that we find that the applicant has met the conditions with his application as amended, meeting the conditions A, 1, 2, and 3.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? I think we gotta do this,
Paul, can we just not do 7.6 and cover it all in one
Yeah.
motion?
no, we're gonna do it in two.
Okay.
Okay.
So, all in favor, hands and voice, please?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right, unanimous by all 7 members. And I'll have a motion with regard to B 1 through 7.
Yes. Okay. I move that the board find that the applicant has, with his application as amended tonight, has met the requirements of 270-7.6B, 1 through 7.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous, very good. So in addition to meeting all of those and with the conditions that have been stated by, that we've put on record, that we, does everybody agree formally by vote? Let's have a vote that we adopt the conditions that have been referenced by Galen. Motion to approve those?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Then we have an approval.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Am I missing anything before he leaves?
Do you want me to read the findings of fact and you can approve those? How do you want to?
I do, actually.
Okay.
I don't. You don't want to do this later, do you, folks?
It's up to you.
Get it over with now?
Yeah, let's do it all.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The secretary doesn't do that, just,
Dan Smith, 331 Goose Rocks Road, Unit 1, Kennebunkport, Maine, 04046. Dear Mr. Smith, this is to inform you that the Zoning Board of Appeals has acted on a conditional use application for a home occupation as follows. The members' presence: Paul Canigan, Chair; Kevin McDonald, Vice Chair; Kate Bauer-Burke; Alan Evelyn; Catherine Leffler, and Charles Tremblay. Findings of fact: the owner of the property.
No, Mark Messer.
Oh, sorry. See,
And note that Alan is the secretary.
Alan is secretary. The owner of the property is Dan Smith, Ayanna Michelle Smith, Robert H. Brigham III, and Ayanna C. Brigham, pursuant to the deed dated April 11th, 2024, and recorded in the York County Registry of Deeds, Book 19417, page 107. The applicant for the home occupation is Dan Smith, doing business as Chef Dan Smith. The property is located at 331 Goose Rocks Road, Unit 1 in the Free Enterprise Zoning District, identified as Assessor's Tax Map 25, Block 4, Lot 1A, and is approximately .99 acres. The property is used as a two-family residence, and the applicant seeks a conditional use approval for a home occupation, which is primarily a small ice cream making on premise with 1 employee, with a proposed plan to produce ice cream products and prepared meals incidental to a residential use, which is to be delivered on off-site. The no on-site consumer, customer, or patron visits or traffic is allowed to the property. Typical supply deliveries are anticipated twice a week. The board waived the application requirement by the applicant to mail the complete copy of all materials to each board member at least 14 days prior to the hearing. Applicant did not supply evidence of a state license issuance for the Maine Department of Agriculture, Conservation, Forestry Division of Quality Assurance and Regulations General Inspection Report for approval by the state to have a home process license. The applicant confirmed no interest in having exterior signage for the home occupation. Applicant confirmed that the entire meal preparation, ice cream making operations, and home occupation will remain within the residence at 331 Goose Rocks Road, Unit 1. Applicant confirmed that no traffic is planned or anticipated to the home occupation at their residence. Applicant stated that approximately 327 square feet of the premise, that's kitchen dining area, will be used for the home occupation with a total living area of 2,300 square feet. No butter correspondence was received by the Zoning Board of Appeals regarding the proposed application. The applicant and board were supplied with the town planner memo reviewing the application dated June 3rd, 2026, and June 8th of 2026, with outstanding comments. The relevant sections of the Land Use Ordinance 7.6A, subsections 1 through 3, and B 1 through 9. These sections provide as follows. Any home occupation or profession,
Can we
which
read
is,
the reading of those?
you did those?
Can we, yeah, we
Yep,
did.
okay, so that's the sections.
I thought B was 1 through 7.
7 point,
I'm sorry, were you
Six,
doing
I don't-
7.6 there, Caitlin?
7.6A, 1 through 3, am I have that right?
Yeah, and then 7.6B.
And then
1
B,
through
1
7.
through 9?
It's 1 through
It's
7.
covered.
It's 1 through 7 because we
1 through
did remove the
7.
other two, sorry.
yeah.
So we'll waive the reading of those.
Yep.
Because we did do the
Please.
reading of those.
Yep, okay. So those are all the same. I did remove the two because they were dealing with a different section that was not adequate for this. There is adequate parking on the site for the proposed use of one employee and residential dwellings on the property. A public hearing was held on June 8th, 2026, and was properly advertised, and all appropriate abutters were properly notified. The Zoning Board of Appeals placed the following conditions on the home occupation use before approval. And those conditions are, again, the applicant shall be required to obtain and renew on an annual basis a town's vitulers license and all state food license approvals to continue the use. No on-site sales or visits to the site by customers and patrons without submitting a new application and evidence of sufficient parking and traffic control plan. Supply a letter of consent from co-owners of 331 Goose Rocks Road that no opposition to the proposed use before a business opening permit and other permits may be approved by the town code enforcement officer. And then the last one is all sales and products will be sold off the premise. Conclusions. Based on the above stated facts and the provisions of the ordinance cited above, the board concludes that the conditional use application for a home occupation be granted based on the information provided by the applicant and on the board's interpretation of the land use ordinance conditioned on the continued adherence to the requirements of section 7.6. The vote of each of the three subsections 7.6A discussed separately but voted on collectively. You did it.
Yep.
Yeah. Was 7 in the affirmative and 0 in the negative. The vote on the 9 subsection, 7
Seven.
subsections.
Seven.
Yep.
Yeah.
Change that quickly. On the 7 subsections of 7.6B, discussed separately but voted on collectively, was 7 in the affirmative and 0 in the negative. Accordingly, the board granted approval of the application. Sincerely, Paul W. Cadigan, Chairman of the Kennebunkport Zoning Board of Appeals. There is a special note of exception, except as provided under Title 30-A MRSA, subsection 2691, 3F. Any aggrieved party who participated as a party during the proceedings before the Zoning Board of Appeals may appeal to the Superior Court as provided by law within 45 days of the date of the vote and decision by the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Very good.
One small change.
Yes.
You talked about the square footage, you said 327.
Yes,
If you include the additional storage, it's 339.
with the additional
There's
storage.
additional storage.
refrigeration.
You could just change it up to
Just change it to
339.
339, and that covers it.
Let me find that section.
And then we'll have a quick motion to approve the
Yep.
findings of fact made by somebody. Kate is our motion maker.
I move that the board approve the findings of fact, as
As
presented to
read
us,
by
as
Galen.
read to us by Galen.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous, 7 in favor. You have succeeded. Thank you very much, Dan.
Thank you,
You
Dan.
also
Thank you so much for your time and
Yep.
accepting this.
You have
We
a very
appreciate it.
patient little
Thank you,
boy.
thank you.
You do.
He's quite good.
Do you have a website that says you're,
I have
Haven't got that?
done one yet.
well, look for it.
Yeah,
I
I had a
hate that-
website with the rest of my.
Thank you for
There are
the
times I hate to cook.
idea of tabling that class part so we could get it done.
We were getting.
No, that was very good. No, that was
recorded
good.
it.
Kevin, thank you for the deliveries and the FedEx and the UPS. Was that you or was that
Yeah.
Charlie?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So-
Paul just needs to sign.
All right, so
Dan, you'll have to, we'll call you then to let you know when we have it
we have a little
signed.
bit more to do, boys
Okay.
and girls.
I mean, if do you still need a drawing, or you let me know what other items you need?
I just need the co-owner letter,
That's all?
yeah.
Yeah, because the drawing is if you come back to us
Do a new
with
application
regard
for the-
to,
Well, I didn't know if you needed a drawing of the floor plan and sketched out what.
I don't think so, no.
Okay, all right, great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Good
much.
luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm just trying to find the agenda. I lost my agenda. I know I
you
got
go.
about 3 of them here
There you go.
somewhere.
Paul,
Somebody
here's
got
an
an
extra one.
agenda.
Right there.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we're gonna look at the zoning bylaws for a moment, please. Everybody's got a
Alrighty.
copy of the bylaws
Yeah, here somewhere.
before them. So there were a couple of things that I wanted to be addressed on the bylaws that have been highlighted beautifully here. So under meetings, well, these are our bylaws in case you're not familiar with them, and they govern us.
Thank you.
So you can see down at the bullets are not numbered, but under meetings, this is an added-in suggestion that we state that a meeting packet will be submitted 14 days in advance of the next meeting by town staff. Are you asking for us to approve that, or this can just be done?
Yeah, so this, bylaws can be changed by the majority of the board members present. You can change it at any time. Certainly, it's been since, I believe, 2014, since you last made amendments to it. And things have changed since then. We don't require mailing out the packets by the applicant anymore. Instead, we supply you electronically, so we're trying to keep up to date with, how we've changed in operations as a town. I think it's a more efficient way of doing things.
Wait a minute, yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
So-
so we'll just go through these and then we'll take a vote on if we want to adopt them as our
Yes, agreed.
revised bylaws. So
Yeah.
that first one is self-evident, I guess, right?
Is that,
Or not?
is that 14 days exactly, or 14 days
At least 14
or
days.
14?
Is it 14 business days?
Yeah.
or 14
Calendar
You know what I'm
calendar?
saying?
Usually, our intent is, at least 2 weeks before the meeting that you should be getting it. So it could be before.
Or
that.
before.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
So not within,
right.
And it-
because I almost made a motion,
Those are calendar days.
Calendar
Yes,
days.
they're calendar days.
because now it's 7, right?
Right now, you have.
This isn't in there at all.
We don't have it, so right now you have to 2 weeks, the applicant has to give you, in your bylaws, it was, they have to mail you the packets within 14 days of the application. So we've changed that, it's now just digital submission.
Okay.
I'd also say that
Okay,
if
I'm a
something
li-
was sent in 16 days before, it would be
Uh,
14.
Okay. So,
We're getting to where the
Look-
writing stuff is, the mailing stuff. is.
Okay.
This is gonna really, this is gonna take its place. You with it? You good
yeah, I do have a point at some point.
on this particular language?
No,
Oh, okay.
Are
next
we
page.
saying at least?
All right, next page,
Wait, wait, wait,
um,
but, on that, are we saying, we should change it to say at least 14 days? To clarify, the question, whoever, was it you, Mark, that raised it?
Um,
Was it 14 days on the nose, or are we just saying at least 14 days in advance?
Well, I think if it's submitted 16 days in advance, it is submitted 14 days in advance.
Okay,
That's my view of the language.
okay,
Also, I'm looking to make as few edits as possible.
I agree, okay.
Okay, the third bullet under voting, all matters shall be decided by a show of hands vote. Decisions on any matter before the board shall require the affirmative vote of a majority of the entire membership of the board. So, I had kind of wanted to change this, because if we have a quorum of 4 of the 7, the applicant before us must get all 4 votes.
Right.
Because that's great, that's the majority of the entire membership of the board. But Galen has checked in with MMA Legal Counsel, and this can only be changed, not by us in the bylaws, but by a change in the ordinance. So if that is the case, and I'm gonna go with MMA's legal on that, I don't really wish to pursue that.
So so I did draft an amended language in the land use ordinance, which we'll go to, that's what some of these other pages are here.
You did?
I did, I
Oh.
did. I drafted, because you're gonna make changes to land use ordinance anyway when it comes to the conditional use side, as a proposal.
Okay.
But we can discuss it. I just highlighted it here because this is the section I did not tweak this,
Okay.
because
so-
we're gonna move it into the ordinance
Very good.
section.
So does everybody follow me on why I had some reservations about
Right.
that?
So
Okay.
you
Yeah.
think
But
it
we're
should be a
sticking with
3-to-1
what-
vote, should carry an application?
If it's not a variance, yes.
Okay.
That's
But
how
we're
I would
saying-
look at it. Variance, I would want a minimum of 4 affirmative votes.
But we're saying, based on,
This is
Daniel
not
said
changing
this
here,
is-
but he's drafted some language
Okay.
that we could see.
so this is highlighted, it's not
Just
changes,
highlighted,
this
no,
is
we
just
didn't
Telling
highlighted
us
for
the issue.
discussion.
Yeah.
Okay,
Correct,
thank you.
okay. And then the other one that I asked for highlighting was the next one down, the 6th bullet. Members shall not make decisions based upon information from persons appearing before the board if the information has not been received at least 7 days prior to the meeting. However, if a majority of the board, which doesn't specify if it's the membership of the board or the board present at the meeting, votes to accept and consider late submissions, they may do so. So I made us do that a couple of times to make sure that we got it on the record after I finally read these a little more carefully,
I
yes.
don't know how that goes under voting,
I didn't put
first
it
of all,
there.
but anyway, I don't see how that's different than the 14 days. So tonight,
Well, wait,
I-
no, can I, how it's different from the 14 days is that the 14 days is the application, the packet materials.
the application from the
The
applicant.
applicant,
Okay.
but then, sometimes the applicant has some subsequent stuff. Sometimes a negative, an opposition comment can be submitted by letter, 3 days before the hearing. Sometimes it will come in 6 days before, and the applicant will want to respond to it, so. So are we changing the submission requirements by pies of interest? So I guess I'm asking what you guys think about this. This is a kind of hard line, it's gotta be in our hands 7 days before, no matter who it's from. Or, each material that comes in after the 7 days, we need to vote on
I,
to accept it.
I think requiring things 7 days before is good, or longer, before 7 days. Sometimes it takes, some things are complicated, you need to read them, but I also think it should be applied to the town as well. I mean, tonight I didn't have a problem with it, I liked getting the memo and the information, but we could have voted to accept the town's memo tonight, which was late by 2 days. But I didn't have a big issue with it, but I think, because if there was an administrative appeal, we wouldn't wanna show favoritism to the town, say.
I don't know if the town's appearing before the board, though.
If there's an administrative appeal,
No, I understand that, but this.
not tonight.
No, I know, but this language says, members shall not make decisions based upon information from persons appearing before the board.
Right,
And you're,
Didn't we just do that tonight?
are you
in
putting the
effect?
town into that category
well,
of person?
let's say someone wants to build a garage and the town says you can't do it,
Well, that's an appeal.
and they appeal, so then both sides will be appearing before the board, arguing their case.
Oh, I see what you're saying, Mark.
Didn't we just do this because the person,
But I would always vote to say, yeah, sure, it's 2 days late, fine, it's
Yeah,
no
we
big
both
deal,
gotta-
but I just
Well,
think
well,
we should be consistent with,
Well, I like having that, we can waive.
right,
Right.
So I think the struggle with this one is, it's not really the applicant usually gets their material in on time. It's like a butters, they
Sure.
they sometimes they wait to the last minute, or as they get notice, and
Sure.
there's issues with mailing out those butter notices. So it gives them a little bit more time. So our thought was, maybe since you all meet on Monday, that at least by Friday, it gives you the weekend to review any butters comments. That was the tweak here, not really so much for the applicant, more for residents of interest.
Sometimes they're late to the party.
Right.
Well, thoughts? Anybody else? Or
I'm confused.
the rest of you don't care how it is?
I
You're
would like
fine.
to have the flexibility of it, because again, it depends on the question, it depends on the situation, things that we're talking, so sometimes trying to put everything so hard and fast, it isn't always working that way, you know.
Well, if we keep this language, we have to make sure that we vote on every single item.
Well, this is, yeah,
that
because I'm just
comes in
looking at,
after,
well, technically
which is what
tonight,
Mark is saying.
didn't even Dan's, his responses didn't, are dated,
That's
June
what I
3rd.
just said a minute
Yeah,
ago.
that's right.
yeah, and we didn't specifically,
And-
Well, wait a
And
minute.
they do
We just
appear
took
before
it.
the board.
Right, well,
Fine.
one
I
thought
was
was
fine with
that
it,
we
yeah.
shorten up, the 7-day for, responsive materials.
To like 5 or something.
Well,
You
I
know.
mean, 2 days after they receive if an applicant puts in and then, and a butter's late to the game, but the applicant wants to put in something responsive, then that'd be even
Yeah.
later, closer to the
Yeah.
game.
Well, the 7
we have
sounds
the-
okay, and then we just have to go through and
Approve everything.
Yeah.
You're
approve
better,
it.
you like
Right.
that?
no,
Yeah.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
like that, Alan?
Because then people try to get to the 7, but then
I like it.
if you
Charles
have to,
likes
if you
that.
have to approve some, that's okay. right?
Yeah,
Kai?
As long as we have flexibility to approve it, I think
Yeah.
it's okay.
I think so
That
too.
is-
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that's what will happen then.
Okay.
We'll maintain that language as is.
Yep.
Sounds
All right,
good.
so that's, okay, so we're gonna not modify the 6th bullet under the voting section of the bylaws. Are we modifying the 3rd bullet? No, that can only be modified by ordinance, so there's nothing we can do on that at this
Right,
time, because we
right.
don't have language that might go into the ordinance. I'm not sure, do we need to approve the language of the ordinance, or can you just do that?
So, I'd like to go over the next section with you all. So the bylaws were attached, but then I did some land use ordinance changes here
Okay.
to go over.
You wanna do that before we do anything?
Well, yeah, I think we can just have a general discussion because
Yeah.
maybe you all don't want to make the changes, and that's fine. So we do have a November ballot for a land use change that is upcoming, and so something that I talked with Paul about is, you know, we're seeing a few applications of the ZBA come before you for conditional use, and it is a pretty clunky process, as we've observed tonight, because it's not something that you normally do. It's normally you hear appeals. And so the thought process was, you know, is there a way that we could move some of these uses to a more appropriate review process for the town? Because I've heard from some residents too that have gone through the process, and some of them, you know, aren't generating traffic. You know, these home occupations, like the bread one that we did off Oak Street, she was really, I don't want to say intimidated by you all, but she was really nervous about coming before you for this use. And from all intents and purposes, we have pretty robust performance standards, I think, that do control how this is going to impact the surrounding community, especially when they're not generating traffic. So the thought process is there a way that we could make the home occupation a type A, which is no traffic generated, so like this gentleman tonight, or a type B, if he had his classrooms, and have the A be approved by the code enforcement officer, which is a simpler application process, and then have the type B go to the planning board. So that's no longer in your review house that you have to worry about it. It's going to the planning board, which is more apt at going through the site plan review process. There's clear performance standards already in place, and you're not deviating from shoreland zoning, because right now, home occupations that fall under shoreland zoning go to the planning board, they don't come to you, which is, again, clunky process. We wouldn't require them to go to both boards. So I think this keeps us uniform and brings us back into alignment. So that's just one thought process. The other section that you'll see in here
Before we go to
is,
the other section, I like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
thought of moving home occupation out and then splitting it in half, and
Makes sense.
non-traffic issues or non-site plan related issues go to code,
Yeah.
and site plan related issues all go to planning board. Everybody generally cool with that?
Yeah, all for it.
Go ahead.
so the other one was, I've never seen this use be used, but, and it might be an outdated use, but handcrafts was another one. That is actually comes before you all. Have you ever dealt with a handcraft business? So that's anyone that's doing leather goods, jewelry making,
Pottery.
pardon?
Pottery.
pottery, yep, that type of thing.
Oh, yeah, we did a pottery.
Again, it's in a special, it's in a conditional use approval for you all. It just seems out of place, so that was recommended to move that to the code enforcement officer. It seems pretty lightweight. I've never seen the application come before you all. So that's another use that is technically under your purview right now.
I'm quite good with that moving
Yes.
Yeah.
to the code enforcement office. I
Yes.
think some things, I mean, it is intimidating to come before 7 people sitting here looking at you. When something, and why, to whatever degree we have some kind of expertise, it's not really necessary for something like that. That's a lesser thing than a lot of the things that the code enforcement officer does already.
Right.
Everybody on that page?
Yeah.
So the other one was we amended the village residential and village residential east zones for animal husbandry. And again, I'm not sure why this was put in that section that's under your purview. But again, if you look at the land use ordinance, animal husbandry falls under permitted uses normally. So I was, again, I'm not sure why that was added there, but, I think it's worth taking a look at and moving it into a more appropriate review for the town.
I have not seen an animal husbandry review, so that counts for 12 years of board. You preceded me, Mark, you ever seen that? So
What
we're going
about
back,
beekeeping?
It all seems
What
to
do we
be
do with
happening
that?
in
I
I,
don't think that's animal husbandry, that
I
doesn't,
don't-
that
I
doesn't
know that.
require a permit, though.
It is, well, it's,
Speaking of beekeeping,
You were a beekeeper, I've been a beekeeper.
but you don't need permits for that, do you?
No, but I'm just asking.
Oh,
It's
so Alan wants to be forced to get a permit, is that what I'm understanding?
Wants to come before the board.
you do need a state permit.
You need a state permit. You just.
To be a beekeeper?
Cost $10.
yeah, animal husbandry is the boarding, raising, breeding, or keeping of animals, fish or fowl for commercial purposes, including without limitation swine, poultry, cattle, and horses.
No bees.
Yeah, you guys don't
No
come under
bees.
that.
No bees.
Bees are livestock.
I mean, it says without limitation, though. If we
Bees are
wanna use the
livestock?
law.
Bees
Bees
are
fall
livestock?
under livestock in the state of Maine.
They do,
Really?
Yeah,
but those are, oh, that's fascinating. This is quite the learning experience.
is.
this evening.
The next one that we would be switching is it's childcare center, which is what your next ZBA application will be on the 22nd. So a child center is, I'll read you the definition for this one. This one we recommend sending it to the planning board because, again, it might have some traffic generated and, abutters would want to be notified. But it's an establishment providing daycare for 5 or more children under the age of 16, which charges for the care of the children, whether in a private home or separate establishment, and whether or not licensed by the state of Maine. So right now, it's technically going to you all. I think planning board is more appropriate location for it. That again, it's the proper review authority, there's site plan requirements.
Yeah.
Leave it
Yeah.
there. That's
Okay.
my recommendation.
Quite good,
Okay. Sounds good.
excellent.
Oh, there it is.
So the other section, so I think if we're good with that, I did make some changes to Article 7, which is the performance standards. And it's just to reflect the different type A and type B types. And then on the next page, I provided clarifying language again about the splitting in authority with those that generate traffic and those that do not. And then if we go to Article 9, this is section 249.2H, which is your conditional uses. Since we've now moved all of the uses to appropriate reviewing authorities, either with the code enforcement or planning board, you no longer need this section. So take it out.
Great.
And then you'll see 249.3J at the very bottom of the page. This is referring to the, how long it takes for the findings of fact to be generated It was 7. There is no requirement for 7 days after you approve, for the findings of fact. My recommendation would be 14 days, and that would be keeping in line with your second meeting of the month. And why I'm concerned about this is, while we don't have a complex case in front of us tonight, and certainly staff can quickly draft you the findings of fact, if there was a more complex case with a maybe administrative review, some, high-profile case that takes place, you might want the extra time to really review and take a look at the findings of fact in greater detail. So that's why I'm suggesting 14 days to give you some breathing room to review.
And I like
Good.
that very
Good
much,
idea,
Yeah.
good idea.
and everybody else
Ask a
does
nitpick
too.
question.
Yep.
If we're removing all of 9.2.h,
Mhm.
is that the last section, or is that, taking that h out, does that affect subsequent
Just say
sections?
omitted.
It will probably move them.
Okay, so
Move them up.
they will
Yeah,
then be.
slide.
E-codes will take care of it
You don't
for
have to point that out to
us.
us, we can just assume that that's, you're gonna
Yep.
change those.
Good
out.
question.
Thank you.
Yes.
I like it all.
Yep.
Yep,
Me too.
for me.
Problems by anybody on any of this?
Nope.
So
Do we need to see anything subsequent to right now? Do you need a vote from us? on that?
it would be recommended that you would recommend these changes so I can so this is where it gets complex in our navigating. The Growth Planning Committee has to review any land use ordinance changes. So what I'm recommending is if you would give the authority to the chair that you would express a letter of support for these changes, that you are on agreement that this is a better fit for the town. That has to go to the Growth Planning Committee. I'm going to send it to them, and they will offer their kind feedback to us before we send it to the selectmen. The selectmen will make the ultimate say if this goes on the November ballot or not, but I want to make sure that,
Growth plan?
I know, any land use ordinance change goes to them.
Makes no sense at all.
Yep. So I want to, I
All right,
definitely want, yeah.
So, I'll move, would you all, vote, to have me, recommend, in letter form to the appropriate party that we support all of these changes that is proposed?
Yes.
Yes.
With the lone exception of, I'm sorry, that we were not going to, wasn't there one we were not going to modify?
Well,
This is just the land use
it's
changes.
just the land
Oh,
use
yeah,
changes.
okay.
We're not changing the bylaws at
Right.
all.
We're not changing the bylaws yet.
We
Okay,
just discussed them, but we're not changing.
okay, all in
them.
favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So that takes care of agenda item 3 and 4.
Well, do you want to add the bylaws, just the section about the meeting packet submitted 14 days?
Yes.
Yep.
So all
Just
in
finish.
favor of the changes proposed
All right.
to the zoning board of appeals bylaws?
Aye. We're just-
And that was seconded by somebody first?
Second.
Second, okay.
We're
And,
just-
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
We're just changing,
That which we can.
we're just adding something.
We're
right?
adding that and
Right.
we're,
The 14 days.
The 14
Right.
days.
That's all we're doing.
right,
Okay, yeah.
very good.
Okay.
So now the last item on the agenda is the presentation of GovWell by Nadia.
So, GovWell is our new permitting software. We've been using it actively for planning board applications since February and building permit applications since April. Technically also zoning board of appeals applications since February, but you all know that we don't get a whole lot of those. So this was our first one that has come through GovWell. So we just wanted to give you a little bit of a look at what it looks like from the user side so that you know what your applicants are seeing and how their process is working. So this is your page on the website. Applicants can access GovWell through this page easily, or they can just type the web address into their browser or several other places on the website. But this is probably where they would go if they were looking to submit a zoning board of appeals application. So we're gonna go ahead and click on submit a new application. So this is the dashboard that users see when they go in to apply for any kind of permit through our office at this point. Zoning Board of Appeals applications are housed under planning and zoning applications. And we have four options currently, which we'll be updating if if the land use changes go through, we'll change this to move some of those to planning board. But you can see we have an administrative appeal, a conditional use, a home occupation, and a variance. So the home occupation, which is the one we just reviewed this evening, we can take a look at. It has a little bit of information for the applicant. They can see what documentation is required in the application packet before submitting, and they can see what fees they'll be expected to pay before submitting as well. That's broken down for them. If they go into the application, what they'll see is just an application form that pretty basic information. It asks for their first name, their last name, and everything like that. And then some property owner information. Usually the applicant is the property owner for ZBA applications, not so much for planning board. Their property information. One of the things that we have liked about GovWell and that is helpful for our applications is that it pulls in a lot of that property data from our GIS maps. So before, where there was oftentimes some human error, just in people don't necessarily know all of this information about their property, it's now all housed here and in connection with our database. So we know that it's coming through correctly. And it lets us see easily, lot size and zone and all of that relevant information. And then some other details about the property. This is a direct copy of the old paper application. So when we built out the GovWell applications, we just took everything that was on paper and we put it on here. So all of that same information is carried over into this application. These are the boxes that they would check at the end of the paper application. These have come through a little bit funky on the applications that we pull out for you guys in your digital packet. I've made some updates, so hopefully they won't come out funky anymore. They are looking pretty good at this point, just in time for you to move away from doing home occupations. And then when they submit, they just go in here and they give us a little signature. They upload any documents that they need. They can see again here what documents they need to submit to us. They can upload that file here and then submit their application. After that, it just comes to us. We can do all of our plan reviews through GovWell. Any comment, we can leave comments directly on their application. It sends those comments directly to the applicant. They can respond then directly to us, which is helpful for us to track to make sure that they've seen our comments and see what they're responding to exactly. They can upload any additional information through GovWell, and it's just helpful for tracking for us. One of the other neat things about the system is that we can add conditions that boards place on properties directly to the property. So if at this point, if for example, the applicant that came in today, I noted that their application was approved by the board and included all of the conditions that you approved in the findings of fact. If they go into GovWell in the building permit side to submit a business opening permit, they'll get a pop-up message that shows all of the conditions on their property. So that they are aware of those before they go through. And our code enforcement officer similarly will get a notification of those conditions so that they're not approving anything that they shouldn't be approving because they didn't know about those conditions. So it's really helpful for communication between codes and planning, which sometimes has been harder to manage just because, we're all busy and doing our own things. So, yes.
Is there a way to just give the zoning board members access to the application? So you just send us a link and we just go right into GovWell and see it, so you don't have to reformat it and send it out?
There's not really an effective way to do that for people outside of the Kennebunkport organization. We haven't so far. We've been using this for planning board a lot. We've gotten several planning board applications, and so far we haven't had any issues with just sending the documents directly to the board.
Yeah, I know GovWell, we asked them that question, can we do this for our boards?
A
And
view only
Yeah,
kind of thing?
yeah, they didn't have something available to do that. That was kind of a struggle that we were running into without giving greater access to the different fields. So maybe when they do updates, maybe that might be a possibility, but right now, yeah, we're kind of limited.
Related and not related, but like I wanted to see that everybody who owned the property was approving the request for the use of the property. And if somebody, when I was practicing, if I went before somebody as counsel, I had to have a written one line or a document that said that I was authorized to represent that party, particularly because a lot of them were hot and they weren't on appeal. So do we have anything anywhere that says that?
Yeah, we require a letter of authorization if a agent is representing the property owner or the applicant.
We require it, but where, is that easily found by the applicant?
Is that in the question mark one? But
So for a ZBA, it's not in our ZBA required documents list. I don't know if we very, very rarely get an agent submitting an application. We can certainly include it if,
I'm just thinking.
we do
that when
we do
get
include it.
appeal- I don't remember the last appeal we've had. It's been a while, but when we get appeals, half the time that's council, and we should have that link.
Lock
That makes
Street.
sense.
Huh?
I think it was Lock Street.
yeah,
Oh, yes, that's right,
with Graham, yeah.
yeah.
We do include a requirement in planning board and building permit applications. It's a required document.
Well, let's just add
To
it in
continue.
if we can.
Okay.
Great, super good.
Yeah, I can't express enough. We're pleased as staff. It was a extensive search process, over 12 vendors that we had to review. And as Nadia mentioned, my one concern that I had was, well, two, was one, making sure that this system would allow for better communication between code and planning, because a lot of the decisions that you make get kept in an Excel spreadsheet, and that doesn't always transfer over to when the code enforcement officers reviewing a building permit application. So trying to get that connectivity more in place. The second that I really wanted, because of my background in the legislature and just in state government, was definitely the correspondence piece, making sure that we have a paper trail to show all the activity that is taking place, not just with the applicant, but also with staff, to make sure that we're covering our bases. And this system is very slick at making sure that that's date and time stamped. So if, ever the town manager or the solicitor ever needs a full docket of what happened on this property, we have that available.
So,
We can also see if we try to send emails directly through the system to applicants, and we can see if they open those emails as well, which is helpful to us. Just making sure that we keep open communication with them.
so if I'm in a, dumb it down for me, if I'm in a butter and I get notice that there's an application, what's my access to the application?
Great question. We can take a look at it here. Actually, let me open it up.
What was that?
This is
This
the
is
portal.
so because I'm signed in to my employee access level account, it will
Yeah.
show information that other people can't actually see. So in an incognito tab, will look like just
Oh,
a
I
regular
see
person
that.
coming
Yeah,
through.
Yeah, yeah.
So this
So-
is the main portal that we use now for applications. If you have a code complaint, that's all. This is all public available right now.
Great.
Yeah.
So this is the public. These are the public dashboards. Right now, we only have planning and zoning applications up, but that works fine for this. So anyone can come in and see active applications that we have up. So the one that we were just looking at, 331 Goose Rocks Road, they can click on this, and they can see basic information. We don't include any contact information about the property owner, but they can see some basic information about the project. They can
Can
see.
you explain why?
Yes, there's been a proliferation of scams to planning board and zoning board applicants in the past few months, where people will ask them for very large sums of money. They'll email them a wire request to send them like $10,000, or they won't be put on the agenda. That is not something that we actually do, so we have taken steps. Any applications that we post online, this is really relevant for planning board. We redact all contact information, and then the public dashboard for GovWell does not have any of that contact information. So ideally, people cannot find any way to contact people through our systems.
Right.
So you can see that anyone can come onto this public dashboard though and see that 331 Goose Rocks Road submitted an application for home-based food business to prepare and sell food out of the existing home. They can see what it's currently being used for. This confirmation piece, that's what is currently coming up a little funky. It should not come up like this anymore. It will show the actual language that you're supposed to see. But as you can see, it's a pretty bare bones summary of what is there, but it's detailed enough that someone could see if they wanted more information.
Yeah.
At which point they're always welcome to come into our office and view the full application.
So this was the path for, we were talking about in a butter, they'd have to then come into the office, they can't do it electronically.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. To view the full application, they'd have to come in to
Or
the
ask
office.
a question or.
Yeah. And they can
protest or-
certainly call us at any time. I field a lot of phone calls and answer questions about active applications.
And we can certainly email them a copy if they
Right.
want to see the application.
Everybody good?
Okay, wonderful, thank you.
Thanks, that was great, thanks. So, before we adjourn, one last thing, before we vote on adjourning, and that is, the nicety of, we need to vote on officers annually. So I'm gonna ask that that be added to the agenda for our next meeting. Our next meeting is gonna be the 22nd. The application that scooted around today, I haven't looked at it yet. So that's how we're gonna do it.
Okay.
I don't have any intention of being the chair after the next meeting, so,
Nor do I.
yeah. So Galen has volunteered to be the chair of the board, and,
I can't be.
Until August the 2nd.
so, with that, motion to adjourn,
So moved.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned, folks, thanks, everybody, great meeting.
Well, thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much.